Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. We have Dimitri Niforos with us. Dimitri, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Where are you currently training?
I currently train at Syndicate MMA in Las Vegas.
Nice. How did you get into martial arts?
The year was 2009. Me and my buddies would hang out and we would just wrestle. We were kids, like really young, middle school, I think. And one of my friends bought the UFC '09 game with
Yes.
Forrest Griffin on the cover. And he came over that day and he's a smaller guy and he was beating us with these like submissions. And everyone else got upset and I became obsessed. So, right, begged my mom, please buy me this game. Then I played this game. Then remember they would do the moves on each other. And then that breeded where we are today.
And what is your primary martial arts?
I would say jujitsu.
How has martial arts impacted your life?
Yeah, it's a good question. In some way, it's made me way less empathetic to all other sports. I feel like fighting is the hardest sport. So I feel like I do the hardest thing. And I think a lot of fighters would agree. And that's why there's a bond after you fight someone.
Mhm.
Just training, right? You're like, wow, okay, like we did that together. That was cool. You're pretty tough at it, you know? And I love it because, right, so we're all capable of violence, even though we don't have to do it in modern day society compared to how our ancestors did it, and we choose to do it, and there's something beautiful about that, right? So or stupid, one of the two, but
When did you decide that you wanted to fight?
so I would fight a lot in high school, and I thought we were the toughest kids. My high school was terrible. For instance, I'll give you like a good demographic. It was 600 and something kids that graduated that year, and only 23 went to university. So
Okay.
athletics weren't that good. Nothing was good. So all we did was fight. And and then when I went to college, I joined the jiu-jitsu team, did it for a few years. And then afterwards, I was like, wow, like, can I really consider myself a fighter or tough unless I actually go do it in a sanctioned bout? And that's when I decided to like start fighting in sanctioned bouts. And I was about 21. So since I was a teenager to when I was like into college, I was just fighting like people. Anyone who would agree, kind of like the old days. But this is when UFC was new. This is when every kid thought they were a fighter. So the environment's so much more different, right? But yeah.
So you would just be fighting for fun.
Oh yeah, like it was a huge deal. We would get like the school together. So it would be common to have like 40 kids get together, go to a place, and then oh, this kid's gonna fight this kid this week. This kid's gonna fight this kid this week. And then obviously kids would like show up and have like the shit beat out of them. And then most parents didn't care because of the neighborhood we lived in. But the police would get called, and then this whole thing came, and my parents got mad, so I stopped doing that. But it's like a long story, and I don't know how to explain it unless you can kind of bring your head to it, right? Because if you live in an upper middle class neighborhood, you're like, dude, what are you talking about right now? But for the environment and for the time, those kids having fun for sure.
When was your first fight?
So I was 21. I fought for XFO, which was a pretty big deal in Illinois. I was in college in Northern Illinois, and DeKalb's a pretty country town. So I just went to the only MMA gym we have. Shout out to United. And I was like, hey, I want to fight. They found me a fight, and I showed up, and it was weird because when it's like legit, the nerves are much more real. Does that make sense with the crowd and stuff? But yeah, so I fought. It went very well, and then yeah, that's my first fight.
What is your current record?
Sure. So I'm about to make my professional debut, but my amateur record was 6-0.
What made you decide to turn pro?
Um, eh, Before every single fight, I kind of make a goal for what I want to do with this and the other things I want to pursue in my life. And I thought, okay, we did the amateur title, which was like a huge thing when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And then, we defended it, another huge thing. But now it's back to that original question. Can you really say you're a fighter unless you fought pro? So now, now I'm trying to tackle that, right? And I take it one fight at a time. So I guess the reason I want to fight pro is to say, hey, I fought professionally. But yeah.
Do you continue? Do you want to continue after, or is it
Man,
is it a one time deal to say you're a fighter?
you know, I like I'd love to say, like I always tell my friends and family, like, oh no, I'm ready to focus on something else.
Yeah.
If I go in there and razzle dazzle him and don't get hurt, of course I'm gonna do it again, you know? So, like, I'll be honest with myself. So hard to say. If we go in there and it's a complete war and my nose gets more broken to the side, then okay, I might reconsider. But yeah,
Where did you get your name?
the last
Your
Greek god, the
fight,
nickname,
yes, your fight name.
I don't like. I think so. I'm a huge history guy since I was a child. That's why I went to school for all that stuff. And I remember reading something when I was like 14 at the latest, so maybe even younger, that if you go throughout history without creating your own name, other people are going to create your name, a nickname, and it's not going to be a fun one. So you might as well create your own, and it'll stick. So I just thought, oh my God, wouldn't it be fun if I was called the last Greek god? And just for a little history snippet, in the ancient world, right, with Greece and stuff, when a king wanted to solidify their presence in the area, they just said, hey, I'm also in the pantheon of gods. They would make themselves a god. So that's a way of solidifying yourself. Now, obviously, I don't expect people to get that, right? Just saying I'm the last Greek god is fun. Oh shit, that's funny. Yeah, great. But yeah.
Do you bring out anything with you as the last Greek god?
Sure. So, and I got to call out all my other Greek fighters. I love everyone else that represents Greece. I always walk out with the flag, and they do too. What makes me a little more unique is I actually enjoy Greek pop music. So you best believe every single time I walk out there, it's with Greek music. I find it odd when a Greek fighter walks out, repping Greece so hard, speaks it perfectly, and then walks out to like the Beastie Boys or something, right? It's like, was that we couldn't go that extra, you know?
Because they're not the last Greek god. That's
I
why.
think that's what it is. They've saved that spot for me. So thank you.
Yes.
But yeah.
How did you go about finding a manager?
Sure. So I realized to go professional, you need another set of eyes on you. To do it without, you're stuck on Facebook pages looking for fights, and good luck. So I was reached out, yeah, right. And I was reached out to quite a few, and then obviously the one I picked, the reason I liked them so much was because they didn't have so many fighters. It felt more personal. It felt more connected, and then yeah, Sean Rock convinced me, like, let's go with him, you know, and that's how I decided it. Because sometimes the big ones look at you and you feel like, oh, I'm kind of another number, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when is your next fight?
Sure, it's going to be October 22nd.
You're so excited about it.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm already on, like, not on weight. I'm already at the weight that you cut, and I feel ready. I kind of wish it was tomorrow. I kind of want to get over it. So let's do it. But yeah, I am excited. It should be great.
So you're already on weight. What are you doing to maintain it? Are you like fighting at your walk around weight or something?
No, so I consider my fight weight about 170 because I can cut 15 in a week and not feel terrible. And supposedly for lightweight, that's not a lot, but my body cannot do more, or I
Mhm.
will feel terrible. And we can get into some past
Mhm.
weight cut issues I've had. So, right, kind of a philosophy I have is a lot of these fighters, right? They walk around at lightweight 180. No, maybe even more. They get to about 180. They train most of their camp at 180. Then they slowly diet to 170. Then they cut. My philosophy is I want to train in the body that I'm going to carry out to the cage. So I'm going to
Mm.
stay around 172 to 170, gain the cardio at that weight class, and then really lose 15 pounds in a few days, gain it all back, and then fight this human being like I've been training for the past 2 months, right? So
What inspired you to do it that way?
just from trial and error of my past, I would say all my 6 amateur fights, the hardest part of, other than fighting, is probably
Mhm.
easily the hardest part. The hardest part was just figuring out, like, what's the best practice. I mean, before I went to syndicate, I just listened to all the junk science you can find on like
Mhm.
a Google search, and I was cutting weight poorly, I was training poorly, everything didn't make sense. And now I feel like this is, and it's not one size fits all. So I feel like this is the best way I'm gonna operate. Plus, I don't know, I'm not a huge, like, I mean, I love ice cream, but if you told me, hey, cut it off, I'm gonna cut it out. But yeah.
Who has been the biggest impact in your life?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I would definitely say my parents. because just the values they instilled in me and kind of what they showed. So they're obviously immigrants, and just having that immigrant mentality and trying to live the American dream and what that means, especially nowadays where everyone's like, America sucks. And it's like, dude, have you been anywhere else recently? Like it's not that much better if you're going to compare. And with that being said, I would say they instill this mentality of like, not just you need to succeed, but like, look what the alternative is. And I carry that with everything I do.
How did your parents feel when you decided to fight?
Oh, I have to swear, I'm sorry. They fucking hate it. They hate it to this day. But they obviously they just don't want me to get hurt. And that's a huge concern, But the excuse that I make is once you fight, it's so hard to go do another sport.
Mm.
I can't go to the local park district and play soccer because the second a kid acts tough with me, which is bound to happen, I'm gonna lose it because we're playing a game of soccer. Or just my other passion other than fighting is playing the game of chess, and I'm getting pretty good at it. But at the second the words start flying off, it's like, dude, we're just moving pieces on a board. Relax. So it's kind of hard to do anything else once you start fighting because you realize that it's the ultimate truth, But yeah.
What can we expect from you in your upcoming fight?
I would say all my fights, all my amateur fights, I was a little shy to pull the trigger in all departments. I feel free expressing this. I go to the cage, I walk in, they close it, I look at my opponent, they always look like they want to be there a little bit more than me. And then I go, damn, like I'm going to just take this guy down, avoid damage, and try to beat him as easy as possible. I came to the conclusion that if I'm going to fight professionally, I cannot have this mindset. I need to go out there and truthfully fight to my best of ability and not just try to take the more easy conceptualized way. And that's why we said yes to this opponent. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to find videos on him. He has 13 fights. I can't find nothing. So shout out to him for taking them all out, or maybe the promotion he fights at doesn't care. And I'm willing to pay like $30 to watch a 5-minute fight, right? I'm willing to do it, but it's not there. So I feel like this fight, I can actually show that, hey, martial arts composites all these forms of fighting, and I'm going to show all those forms.
You've had 6 amateur fights.
Correct.
What fight stands out the most?
Wow. I would say it was my fight against, his name was Tyshawn. We didn't know anything about him. And like from his Facebook, you would think he's kind of wonky, but then we figured out that he spelled his name wrong in his fight career, and his Tapology actually has a really good fight record. So we accepted the fight on these pretenses that we thought it was going to be easy, right? And we couldn't find any video with him. I got COVID 3 weeks before the fight, but I'll never drop out of a fight. I don't even care if I'm hurt. Like when I commit yes to someone, we're dancing. The weight cut went awful. I felt like shit. It was his home. He trains at the gym that owns the promotion. So he has like this lavish training facility. And then they put us under some like sheets under like the air conditioning. I was like freezing. And we were the main event at like 11 p.m. and everyone was being kind of like mean to me. And that shit gets to you, right? If you let it get to you, it's going to get to you. I was like, wow, I was brought here to lose today, And he's also a rapper, so he walked out to his own song, which I thought was kind of funny. So whatever the case, and then the fight goes, and then I realized, like, I grabbed him, and he's about 6'4".
Oh, okay. And how tall are you?
I'm about 5'10".
Okay.
So there's definitely no striking in my mind, right? Like, we're definitely going to try to take this guy down. And I take him down, he's up right away. I take him down, he's up right away. And then it clicked in my head. I was like, oh, wow, I'm in a fight. Like, this is not going to be an easy endeavor by any means. He hits me with an uppercut flush. It cuts me wide open in the first round. And, but I just went through it, kept going for the takedowns. Eventually you get tired from defending, was able to hold him down, beat him up a little bit, and then win the decision. But I remember afterwards looking to my brother, who's also my corner guy, and going, dude, I never want to do this shit again. Like, this a terrible experience. I've lived enough life. But so it just sticks out in my head because I remember I've never felt more relief after the fight. Right. And, but yeah, I realize that most fighters might come on here and say, oh, it was intense. We were hitting. No, I think fighting's stupid sometimes, even when I'm in it. but I do it because it brings you so much like, wow, I did that, you know?
It's all you. I mean, I have so much respect for the fighters, especially amateurs, because, they're going in there and they're not getting paid. They're
Mhm.
risking everything. And I'm not saying like the pro fighters don't risk anything, but amateurs, this is just like testing out whether or not they're going to become professional. So they're risking a lot. Um, there's not a lot of, I guess there's not a lot of respect for the amateurs.
No,
At some
there
level,
is.
it's kind of sad because they're literally going out there. And I'm not saying professional fighters don't go out there and put their life on the line, but amateurs, they're not getting anything. If they don't sell tickets, you're not getting anything.
Correct. And in some ways you want that amateur circuit to be huge like in boxing
Mhm,
because that's the only way good boxers can get built up without taking damage and make those multi-millions. Where in MMA there isn't too much of that, right?
mhm,
Like after getting built up a few fights, you're going to fight another guy who's just built up like you before any money was accumulated.
mhm.
So hopefully it changes, but I don't know if MMA is getting more popular. Like watching it is, but I don't know if participating in it is getting more popular really.
Awesome. Before we conclude, do you have any shout outs?
God, I want to shout out my whole team.
Mhm.
Let me just shout out the guys being a huge influence to me here. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Hamilton, Jordan Levitt, Shane Shapiro. They're my three top coaches. They fix me mentally. They fix all the physical errors I do. They're making me into a cyborg killing machine, right? And they're the nicest guys too, so it's fun. And then I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Manu because she every day and all day she probably hears me philosophize about this, and she always tells me to calm down. Then I want to give a huge shout out to my brother. He's always been my corner man. He's actually kickboxing too. He's going to start his little MMA career as well.
Nice.
So my parents are super proud, right? They got two sons that wanted to do it. And then I want to give, and then I want to give a huge shout out to my training partners, Anthony and Tomas, because I don't know, isn't it beautiful when you and another human like, and tell me what you think about this. There are some guys I do not mind if they punch me a little hard in the face because of the camaraderie we've built compared to when a random guy comes in and starts swinging hard. I'm like, dude, get away from me. You know? So, and I've built it with those two guys. So I think that's a friendship and a relationship that you can only find if you fight. So I'm glad I have that weirdly, but yeah.
Well, I agree because they're pushing you to the next level.
And
They're
like,
literally pushing you.
right. And we're trying to better ourselves
Mhm,
without taking huge damage.
mhm.
Because some of these guys, I mean, I hate to say the dark side of this, but we've all seen that person that goes, "Whoa, dude, you've getting punched a little too much, and you're in your 20s. Like this is not a good outcome for you, and there's no money to justify it." So, but that's another topic.
Awesome. Do you have any sponsors?
No, I actually have like a full blown career. I do really well for myself. So I actually don't do this for the money. I'm my own sponsor. I'm my own sugar daddy when it comes to violence.
What is your career?
Sure. So I'm in fintech sales. And I also manage a little bit of real estate. So I have my
Nice.
hands in a few things. I would say fighting's like a definite hobby, but a hobby I take to the utmost seriousness. Because you have to.
You do.
Mhm.
You can't play around with that one.
Oh no, like especially at our gym, the second you think you're like hot stuff,
You're
trust me,
done.
there's someone there to teach you a good lesson.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you again once
Great.
you have your fight.
Beautiful. Few months. Thank you so much.
You're
Putting
welcome.
your
Thank
hand in the